Okay, this is the TMS Smart Setup session. I am Wagner Landgraf from TMS Software. Here with me is Adrian Gallero, also from TMS Software.
Hi.
We have both working on TMS Smart Setup for the last year, so that's why we are both here. And the idea here is to have a live session. We both just share our screen and talking, and the intention is that we do not edit this video at the end. So let's see how it goes.
Yeah.
And Adrian, do you want to say something?
No, that's it. Let's try to do it live, and if there are mistakes, we'll leave it there, so it's easy for us, and you can actually see how many mistakes we do. Okay.
So let's start with explaining to people what's TMS Smart Setup. We prepared here a small Bing or Google search here. It's Bing. If you want to just Google for TMS Smart Setup, and Bing brought here is a modern tool for installing and managing TMS software libraries and components across various platforms. You see here that TMS Smart Setup started as a tool to install TMS components, and it evolved to installing community libraries and also evolved to be a complete build tool for you for Delphi applications. So I think we can just explain by showing, Adrian. Maybe we can just do what the user will do, which is download TMS Smart Setup, install, and show what you can do straight from.
The first thing to go is the documentation, that there is a very big documentation, a lot for a building program, but well, in the introduction, we have a download link here at the start. So we can go for an installer, and we go for the portable zip file. I think we go just with the zip file, no? Or do you prefer the installer?
I think we can go with the installer for for the more basic users. Then we can just after go back and install the portable. But if you just want straightforward, download the installer and install.
Oops. This is big protection.
Yeah, but Windows doesn't recommend.
I feel protected already. One thing that's important here, this is the folder where we are going to install Smart Setup, but also where we're going to install all the components that will go with the Smart Setup. So it's important that you choose the folder where you actually want to put the components that you will install. We don't have different folders for the components and for Smart Setup itself. It's just an X. So, okay, we are going to install it in Smart Setup. That's it. Next, let's create, just in case. Install. That's it. We now are launching already the TMS GUI, which is a GUI interface for the command line. And we have an option here to install only TMS products or also include open source community packages that can also be installed with Smart Setup. So let's go here. Let's choose both.
The credential. Hey, Adrian, since we are not going to edit here, can you move away the screen or something like that so you can type?
Yeah, let's stop. Wait a second. I think I can pause here. Okay.
Credentials, type it.
Coming back. This is the main screen for installing components. You can see all components or just install it. Of course, we don't have anything installed. And okay, let's just install, for example, Aurelius. Install. Wait a second. I should have this is going to install for a lot of. I should have configured first.
Let's keep it there.
Yeah.
Let's explain some things here. First, that's interesting to explain because as you see, user didn't select the Delphi ID to install or the platforms to install or anything. So by default, it will just install for, of course, it depends on the ID supported by Aurelius, but for all the ID supported by Aurelius that you have installed in your machine, Smart Setup will install for it. And it will also install for all the platforms. So for example, Aurelius supports all Delphi's platforms. It will install for iOS, Linux, Android. If you have them installed, right? It checks for the installation of each platform, Adrian.
Yeah. And it also installs the dependencies. I mean, to install Aurelius, you need to first install Bees. So start installing Bees and then install Aurelius on top of it.
Yeah. But I was mentioning it is something that we are used to, but people are not used to that the platforms, because, for example, it's taking more time here because I assume that you have installed
everything.
You have iOS platform, you have Android platform installed, and Smart Setup is smart enough to detect, for example, I only have Win32 platform installed here, so it doesn't fail or things like that. It just says in the log, if you want to say, skip in Android, skip in iOS, and install it for Win32.
Yeah, right? Well, it's installed, it's almost ready, but we are going to go to ¿Where did I put it? ¿Hacen ciertos puntos? I think I put it in there.
But you're trying to find the folder?
Yeah, where I install it, it's in Diver. So CD. We have here the stuff that it is doing. And the installation, basically what it did was to create a TMS.exe and TMS GUI here. You could have just got the access and put it in the file, in the folder. Okay.
My suggestion is that, not sure if you think it's worth it and there's time, but after you do this small demo here, we can uninstall, clean up, and install the portable to explain what it is, how it is, and
that might be interesting. Yeah. There are some what I wanted to show is the log, so we can actually see what we install. We can install, and here you see it installed a BCL and Aurelius in Delphi 13, Delphi 11, Delphi 12, Win32, EOS devices installed everywhere. No? If we just launch Delphi 13 here, we should see an Aurelius, TMS Aurelius install. So, okay, that's it. So we say we can uninstall all of this.
No, let's go back to the GUI. We can finish here because you can go to the. For example, there are some you can search for products there in the interface.
Let's before of that goes and configure this. This opens a file where you can select a lot of stuff, but basically what we're going to select is only for Delphi 13 and only for Win32 and Win34. It's just to make it faster. No? So we say, we close, and now what can we do? We can search for an open source product, for example.
It's interesting that you can select multiple products and install all at once. Let's try to pick some that doesn't take too much time. For example,
this is one might be interesting because
you can install XData, for example. It's fast.
XData, okay.
XData review.
And with that review, where is it here? So we select these two, install.
So that's another nice thing. You can just install all the products that you need at once.
Yeah, At the first time, and they go in parallel. Well, speaking about parallel compilation and speed, that's something that we wanted to show today also. We have a special machine for that because it's a faster machine than this one. This one is a virtual machine in a Mac, which is not probably the fastest. So, well, when we're ready here, we're going to show a speed comparison between what is. Okay, this is ready. You have TMS Sparkle, TMS with the XData. I imagine Sparkle was installed because XData depends on Sparkle.
It's XData depends on it.
Yeah, and there is virtual preview here. This one is not a TMS component. Oh, sorry, audio is not very good.
So this is the basic usage, right?
Yeah.
That's all you need. You can stop the watching here if you just want to download and install stuff with TMS Smart Setup. You can see there's a lot of open source community projects here, Spring4 Delphi and Taurus TLS, Omni-thread library, etc. And but we can show for the hardcore users the opposite. Maybe we can uninstall everything. That shows also how to uninstall, and then remove everything and install the portable versions for people that doesn't want to control everything they do.
We will show a little bit of the command line usage too, which when you start using this, it's really got a lot in command line here. Let's just finish what we started and let's uninstall of this.
Yeah, uninstalling is very easy as well. Just select multiple products.
And it's very good to uninstall. It really removes everything in the, doesn't leave half of your files on there. No, it removes completely the stuff. And then we can go to...
I think we can uninstall from control panel, right?
Yeah, but what is it? It's never can find this one install it up.
Control.
Yeah,
I'm old school.
I try to find it here. It's impossible because Smart Setup. Remove it. Uninstall. Uninstall. Yes. Okay. So we go back and get the portable version. Now in the folder.
Left over in the folder in the R Smart Setup there.
Yeah, I left the stuff. There should be nothing in products because there's nothing installed. But let's remove everything. And now we are going to install with the portable install.
Yeah, let's start again from scratch.
Yeah.
So if you think Smart Setup will take over your machine, you see that
it's completely clean after. And now we're going to install the portable zip file.
In the end, Smart Setup is just one executable.
Yeah, it's just two TMS. Actually, because there is a GUI, but the Smart Setup
is a perk. The other is a perk.
Yeah. So you put here, you can install Start TMS GUI as we did before. We actually got this screen again. We are not going to install open source now. So let's go. Wait, we are going to actually do this. Let's go only non-TMS, which is also a possibility. Now we are not seeing anything because we don't have community, we don't have TMS. So here we can select community, which is the open source products. And we can see them here. I think we have to.
It's interesting for those, it's because you have installed, you have to select all on the list there.
I think we have this where it's called looking at only installed. This is at the open source stuff that is available. When we put the credentials again, we are going to show everything again. But well, what I wanted to show.
You're going to show the command line because it's interesting to note that this is kind of similar to Git because the user interface here is just calling the command line behind the scenes, right?
Yeah,
So,
yeah. Everything we are doing here, we can do it on the command line.
So you can show some command line usage.
Yeah, let's see. We are already here. We have TMS, which as we can do, for example, TMS config, which will be similar to that of taking the configuration button in the.
Since you are showing, let's explain a little bit what is this config file.
Yeah.
If you go back to the folder there, when you type TMS config, it creates a specific YAML file in the folder, right?
Yeah, let's see, check where is the folder.
It just creates from a
TMS
template.
It's here.
Yeah, it creates from a template, and then you have a full YAML file where you can configure lots of options there. Every configuration opt is commented. And it's interesting. Maybe you can show the scheme stuff that it works without the completion.
It's nice because actually this file is looking at a scheme for the file, so it will tell you if there are wrong stuff here. If I try to, when I click here, it takes me the documentation, and if I make a typo, oops, this is wrong. Doesn't exist here. I even have autocompletion. For example, here, I could write, and I have all the options I can put here. If I put some version that is not right, it's not. These are the available values. So it's here. In this case, if you don't select any Delphi version, it will install for everything that is installed in your computer. So we are going to select one version. We could select many. So it only installed for that version. For the platforms, it's similar. You have, if you don't select anything, it will install for everything. Of course, everything that is available. If you don't have Linux in your machine, it won't install for Linux, but everything that's available. If you select, let's say, only Win32 and Win64, it won't select for anything else. Another one that is interesting to change many times is the debug DCUs. If you set it to true, it will compile the components for debug. But if you are not interested in debugging the components, you can set it to false, and it will be half the size and half the time for installing.
Good. Can I elaborate a little bit more about this? Because, or maybe you can talk about it later, but this debug DCUs here is related to the way that Smart Setup installs things in the Delphi IDE. Smart Setup follows what we consider it to be the best guidelines for installing something in the IDE. It doesn't add the source code. It doesn't add to the library, to the Delphi library path. It doesn't add the folders where the source code is, because if you do that, you get your libraries recompiled every time you build your own application using that library, and you have DCUs spread all over the place. And so what it does is that it builds the packages, the TMS ones or the open source ones. It finds a way to build the packages, generate the DCUs, the binaries, and then add the binaries to the library path, just like Delphi itself. But it also adds the debug DCUs if you want to debug the library, and it also adds the source code to the browsing path, so you can still browse the source code, but it follows the correct guidelines to install the packages.
Yeah. So many times it's nice to have the debug DCUs because you can look into the component code even when it's not in the file. But sometimes you are in a build server, for example, and you don't care about debug DCUs, you can turn it off and have it installed much faster. There is another one that is interesting here to note, is the skip register. This one is a very interesting one because by default, TMS will build the components and install it in the IDE. But sometimes you just want to build the components, for example, in a build server, in a continuous integration machine. So you can put here skip register true, and it will build, but it won't register the components in the IDE. So this is very useful for a lot of stuff. But you just want to build stuff, you can build your own components here too. And you just don't want to install anything, you just want to build. So just keep this false. So yeah, I don't know if any other, there's the mega folders. This one is interesting, but we probably won't have time to look at it.
It's interesting to also to stress that all this configuration file here you can update from the command line itself in case you want to have it automated.
Yeah,
You can show the command line help maybe.
we can do it. We can. Let me.
For example, I want to specify that I only want to compile for Delphi for Win32 and Win64 platforms, but I don't want to modify the YAML file manually.
Yeah, for example, here I have the, if I do a TMS config read, I get all the values as a YAML version. If I prefer to see it as JSON, I can see it like this. So here is all the configuration that is here. To change a value here from command line, you will do TMS config right, and let's take an option, for example. What option would you like to change? The Delphi versions, for example.
Platforms, for example.
The what?
Configuration for Delphi platforms. Let's put only Win32.
Yeah. Configuration for products. Then we have to go to Delphi versions.
No, platforms.
Platforms. Yeah. Here is Win32, Win64.
Just Win32 so you can make it faster.
Oops, configuration for products.
You have if and P, isn't it? Or something like that. The P parameter.
Yes, it's always. That's it.
P and equals
no?
Win32.
Yeah, I don't remember exactly there is a help on this. You can choose it in the. Or maybe not.
Everything. Quote.
What?
Everything between quotes. No, remove the quote from the platforms. The last quote.
The thing is that this. Oh, maybe this is because this is. You say like this with.
No. Remove the quote. Platforms equal Win32 without quotes.
Without quotes.
Yeah, you put the quote. Yeah.
Yeah. Win32 Intel. That's it. So if we come here, the thing is we hadn't changed it, we hadn't saved it, so this won't have a. Let's save it, and it tell me that it's let's overwrite it. Now that it's saved, if I change it here, let's go again. It should change automatically here. Now it's just Win32. So yeah, you can change any value. What?
Let's do some basic command line stuff.
Yeah. But I wanted to show that we are trying, but is the speed thing, because one reason why would you want to use this when we had already setups and there is setup for the command line for the open source products that we have. So why would you want to use Smart Setup? And there are a lot of reasons that we are hearing here. There's a lot of stuff. But one thing that really, I think sells it for me and for a lot of people is that we are really much faster installing than a normal traditional setup. This is because we install in parallel with all the platforms in parallel. So one thing I wanted to show, but it's going to take time, so we have to start early, and we're already 20 minutes in, is we are going to install Spring4D, which is a great open source Delphi component. We're going to install with their own installer and with Smart Setup and look at the difference on speed. I have a different machine configured for this. This is one. So let's start by the beginning. Let's look at the Spring4D repository. We are at the master branch 202. And we are going to, I did local change to the main form. Basically, I added a message to know how long it took, because if not, it will be impossible to know. So I also removed the test from the compilation, so it's a fair contest, because without the test, with the test, it takes twice the time, and we don't do the test in the Smart Setup. So just to be the same, we don't have it here. And of course, build.x is changed because I recompiled with the changes to show the speed. So, but other than that, it's just this was in Spring4D. Let me check here. So we are going to launch here. We are going to compile for debug and release. That was the debug DCUs we had. We are not going to run any tests. We are not going to update the Delphi registry. And we are going to compile only for Delphi 13. Okay, so we keep it clean here, build. And we leave it building. This is going to take a while, so we can go back to what we were doing. Okay. So we were speaking about changing the configuration.
Yeah, let's do some command line festival here to like listing what we have available to install, maybe install something via command line.
I think we will have to do another cut, so I put the credentials again. Let's do how we will do it here. We will just do TMS credentials. Do I have to write?
How do you have to enable server enable TMS? You ask it Smart Setup.
Yeah, I disabled the TMS server. TMS. I'm going to re-enable the TMS server we had disabled. Enable.
You type it TMS twice in the beginning.
TMS. Yeah. Okay, so now TMS credentials.
Well, if you don't mind, it will not show the credentials on your address.
Yeah, but I don't have it on the clipboard, so I need to go to look at them. So we do a little cut here and come back. Okay, we are back with our credential center. We can now do a list remote to see what is available. And you see TMS products here and open source products on here. So we can install similar to the GUI, but of course with a little bit more.
I know that TMS bis don't take much time, so you can use masks to install it.
Like this. So we install anything that's in the bis. Let's go.
And you can mix. You could for example type tms install tms.bis.start space and add more IDs. You said about parallel compiling, but I think it's interesting. It's fast not only because it compiles everything in parallel, but also because it does all the products that you want unattended for all IDs and platforms. And not sure if you can show it there, but for example, if there's a fail here, let's see, for example, that you have in Delphi 12, you have your iOS platform misconfigured. So it will install for almost everything, and then you say failed for Delphi 12 iOS platform. So you can go there to Delphi, fix the platform, just type TMS build, and you just install the remaining platform. You do not build everything again, right?
Yeah, and you actually can use, if you don't need it right now, you can use it anyway without the, yeah, here it's all ready. We can go and look how this is going. This is still not responding, this is still compiling. We can actually see the stacks manager. It's not doing very much because it's compiling one at a time. So we'll keep it here. And
we can wait more.
I think we continue with the rest. It's going to take a while. Okay, so what we were looking is what happens if there is an error in a different. We can also just start Delphi to actually see that this is real, no? That all the components are available. But we were thinking what happens if a platform fails.
You can find a way to show how fast it is to fix itself. For example, to rebuild it. It has you can talk about the algorithm with the source code hashes that it knows what to build and what not to build.
Yeah, that's, I think, okay. So if we go here to help about, you see, well, let's do them. Sparkle audience things. Here they are all the B suite installed in a minute, no? Okay, but let's see. Yeah, let's go and do that. Let's imagine there is something wrong with the. So we go here.
Or you can maybe modify BCL source code.
That's what I was thinking. Let's go and BCL at the package source. Let's go very. Let's go. So we can do some if on the what MS Windows.
The BCL will recompile everything.
Yeah, that's what I think, but it's really fast anyway, so we can do it.
Okay.
Okay. This is going to fail in any platform that is not Windows. So we can go here.
But we are building only for Windows.
Yeah. So let's put another one.
Oh, that's one thing to show. Let's change the config.
Yeah.
We have built everything for Windows 32. Let's now build for what? Linux?
Linux. I don't know if Linux is available, but yeah. Let's try Linux or iOS too, macOS. So we have here, we close. So let's do now TMS build, which is actually a command that we are seeing right now. But this the basic command of TMS Smart Setup. This TMS build just makes sure that it builds everything and everything is up to date. So now when I build, as I modify a file, it will realize that it has to rebuild everything because I changed a file at the very bottom of the dependency tree. Everything depends on the core package, so when it rebuilds the core package, it has to rebuild everything.
Yeah,
I think
for example,
if have anything that's I don't have Linux or macOS here in this machine.
it's again compiling only two.
Yeah, it won't be a mistake, an error here. Let's go again. I don't know which platforms we have here.
Win64 for sure.
What?
So maybe you can modify XData code for Win64, for example. So we don't rebuild everything.
Makes no sense. Let's go and change. You say the core, or we modify something? Let's go here.
No, change XData.
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 TMS space. XData, and we have a source.
Or let's find out.
Open code. I think probably those are going to use this somewhere, no?
So you can do a fail there for Win64, for example.
If and we do have this, no? With some stuff Win64. That's it. So let's go again.
Change the config file.
The config file, I think, is already. No, let's do it from here. So
we have 64.
Win32 Intel, Win64 int. Okay. So build.
Now it's interesting because Aurelius.
Yeah. I don't know.
You can see that it's rebuilding. It's interesting. It's building everything for Win64, but it's building only XData for Win32. It knows that BCL, for example, doesn't have to rebuild for Win32.
You see?
Right?
I don't know. Yes, now we started building for Win64, but you say it's not rebuilding XData? It should be, no?
It's because it depends on, it's building the dependencies first.
Yeah. Now we got an error, finally.
XData depends on BCL already, so it was building.
Yeah, it has to build a lot of stuff. It's really, really intelligent in what it has to build. Many times you don't say, what is...
It builds parallel, but it builds the dependencies first.
Yeah. Yeah, of course, until a dependency is not complete, it cannot start. But it can start by platform. No, it can, if Win32 finish.
Because there are lots of packages that are okay, and XData failed, and also Echo and Sphinx failed because they depend on XData.
Yeah. We can see it always, the log view, to see it more clear what happened. Normally, everything that was okay is in gray. And when you have an error, it gets in red. So you can see here, of course, this class with change was expecting an equivalence because it's just typing no sense and it's all no sense on the error. But okay. So we can go back and fix it, no?
Yes, let's fix that. Don't mess with my source code.
Yes. Sorry. We build it again. And it should be, well, this is compiling. Let's see if this one finish. Still not. Still doing some stuff.
So now it's only recompiling XData and Echo and Sphinx, which depend on...
It should tell us at the end that it didn't recompile the others, not modified, so they didn't change, and only XData and the package that depend on XData. Okay, for a live session is going quite well. No?
And that's going to happen. That's going to happen also. We didn't show here when you update the versions, right?
Yeah.
So for example, we have installed there TMS XData 5.22. If you have a new version 5.23,
yeah,
you just type install everything. It will detect what's new, downloads, and just rebuild what's needed to be rebuilt, right?
yeah, we can do that, but we will have to show something that we shouldn't show. But let's do it. No, let's build it. Install. This is something that is not released, so don't try it at home. But you can do install versioning now. So we are maybe probably going to speak a little bit more at the end. But let's see. We install XData version. I imagine this exists.
I think so.
Also, no.
You can actually check. You can use the command.
I try once more. And TMS version is
versions remote.
Version list. Version remote.
No, remote.
Okay. Versions.
I think it's versions remote,
versions
and you have to pass the product ID.
No, but it says unknown version. Versions mode. TMS.
Use the help.
Yeah. But it says that the command doesn't exist. Version remote.
You're not using the latest version.
Oh, because we downloaded from the.
We downloaded from the.
Yeah, I had the one prepared, but I don't have it here. It's the one we are actually using here. I could copy it, but I'm not sure if it would copy there. I don't think it will. Okay. Yeah.
Do you have it easy there? The dated version, no?
What? I have the TMS.exe is here. Wait a second. Is this one? But to copy here, I don't think it will copy directly to here. Let's check it.
And while Adrian is copying there, those version lists and etc. you can also do from the graphical user interface. You have both options there. You don't have to go to the command line.
We actually, I think we'll make another cut because I need to go to copy to the Mac, to copy it here. So let's see, because it doesn't copy really. It says it does, but you see it's 0 bytes. I need to copy it to the Mac and then to the. I think yes, it's a good thing.
All right,
okay.
we're back.
We are back. We had the wrong TMS, not the one that we wanted to show. That is a new one, which I just copied. Now we have the versions for TMS dot. This what product were we changing? XData. So yeah.
Yeah, the one we are trying to install 5.2.
We just had the wrong TMS.exe, that's why it didn't work.
That's it?
No, there is a problem. Probably 552 doesn't support Delphi 13, no?
522.
Because we are getting it doesn't support any of the IDEs or platforms that were in Tallinn. So we can try, but Delphi.
Well, at least we can show, for example, the open TMS key. Let's show something.
Yeah. Yeah, this is PowerShell. Okay. Yeah, it didn't install anything because 522 doesn't.
It shows the outdated products. So, for example, you see that there is a newer version of TMS XData. No, don't do that.
Yeah.
Let's just let's update from the command line, for example.
Yeah.
Maybe. Well, whatever.
We can do now, go back to the original. So we install TMS, we do TMS update.
But you can show the updates. Yeah.
Yeah, it should. It updates and will recompile everything.
When you do TMS update, it will just check all the products that have newer versions, download them, and rebuild only them, and make sure everything is updated, right?
Yeah. That as we changed the version of Delphi of XData that didn't support Delphi 13, it didn't compile it, but now it is compiling it. Let's see the other one.
So in your daily workflow, all you need to do is TMS updates, and you have the newer versions of all products.
Yeah, that's
and you can
normally.
do that for community, right?
What?
You can do that for community.
Yeah.
You can do version for community as well.
You can do version for community too. You can do. Let's see. We can show a problem. I was looking today. There is a problem with the latest Omni thread. It's not compiling. I think it's a bug in the. They introduced it recently, so we can try it to install Omni thread. If it doesn't build, we can go to it worked. They already fixed it, but we can go to an older version of it. So we can let's have a lot of releases. So let's go say we want to go to release. So I can do this version. Yeah, this version is too old. It doesn't have Delphi 13. That's a problem that we are doing this demo very near the release of Delphi 13. So this was
maybe only the last version supports Delphi 13.
A lot of problems. I think that this one worked. But yeah, if you go back in time and you try to install in Delphi 13, it won't work because those whole components didn't support it. Oh, now you see it's okay. Also, if we go to TMS Geo now, for example, I think probably we have some refresh here, but
you can just switch between install it and all there left.
Okay. Install. You have to see that the version from OmniThread library is not the latest, but release 3.0.11. If I go install here, I can go to the latest one. It's like doing TMS update from here.
Well, I think we made a point here.
Yeah,
it's very easy to update and install and update.
You can do this stuff from here. As we are looking at versioning, we can show it here too. I can change, for example, the core version. Let's go not back too much back in the past because we might not support Delphi 12. But if I go and install 1.46, it's installing. I think I can change here. Now we have 1.36 and 1.31 is available.
Yep.
Okay. So
It's available because it's not installed because probably it failed for
Yeah,
Delphi
it's almost
13.
failing the same thing. You should have Delphi 12. Maybe we can do later install for
How
Delphi
is
12.
your our Spring for Delphi installation going on?
Yeah, let's see this one. Okay, it's not ready yet. So, what else we have to
Maybe
cover here?
maybe we have to stop it because we are running out of time.
Yeah, no, I think it might be ready. It can't take that much longer, can it? uh, it should be almost ready, I think. I hope. But yeah, it takes like 17 minutes to compile.
17.
Yeah,
Can you see in the can you see in the shell there in the command line there is a date where it started or something like that? I don't think
because
so.
no, it's a GIL. I don't think. I don't
It's
know.
you mentioned that it launched its command lines prompts right in
Yeah,
the
I could launches command line all the time, but
in the
yeah,
file.
they closes them too. So uh, let's see. Let's wait a little bit more. I don't know if you have anything else we want to show. If not, well, we have to cut this stuff.
You can show TMS Doctor, for example. It's a
TMS
good troubleshooting. TMS Doctor.
Doctor. Well, that's a good one to show. Uh, let's create first some problems so we solve it, or we just show it.
No, just show it just
Okay.
for people to see that.
Okay. Sometimes when we have the TMS is very good at trying to install what it has to install and getting everything right, but sometimes the problem is not really in what it installs, but in the Delphi installation that has gone wrong for any reason. So one thing we did was to create a TMS Doctor application that's part of the Smart Setup, but this is only from the command line, at least for now, which will check for a lot of stuff that might be wrong in your. If you do just a TMS Doctor, it will just tell you a lot of stuff that it thinks is wrong, but it won't change anything. To actually change anything, you have to say TMS Doctor fix. So let's do a fix. Says, for example, there is this path in the Windows path that doesn't point to an existing folder. So this is an old stuff that should be removed. I don't think it will remove it here. I had to run it as administrator. But yeah, these are all paths from tests and stuff that we're doing.
That helps reduce the Windows path environment variable size,
Yeah,
for example.
all these
One of the
paths
problems.
that are pointing to stuff that doesn't exist anymore, you can actually remove them and have a much smaller Windows path. The same for the library path. Maybe you have this stuff that doesn't exist anymore. I don't have an SS folder in R. My R drive is just Smart Setup, so there's no,
They're
this
in the self library.
this stuff doesn't exist, so you can remove it all. And for all the Delphi versions where it is, because this was in.
Actually, what TMS Doctor is, if you don't want to go into details, it's simply just if you have installation problems, if you're when you do TMS install or TMS build and install products and it fails, run TMS Doctor. It will likely fix the problem. Because TMS Doctor is a kind of knowledge base that we collected all over the years at TMS with the common problems the user have. Oh, there is a problem installation. Usually it's Windows search path, it's environment variables, it's Delphi library path. So we just check for all those stuff and suggest the fix and fix it. So and it not only for TMS products, for everything installed in Delphi, it
Yeah,
does a check in your Delphi installation and fix it.
yeah, it's actually not checking for anything specific for TMS. It's checking just your Delphi configuration. There were a lot of entries because this machine is using for testing, and so there was a lot of stuff that should be. And as I trusting, I'm just not going to keep writing yes, yes, yes. I just do fix and do not confirm.
And it's still TMS Smart Setup worked fine to install the products because, for example, it doesn't suffer from that MS build command line limit that some users have hit. With you might have installed lots of things and you have MS build that reaches the 32,000 characters in the command line.
Yeah,
so
in
you
setup,
don't have the problem.
Smart Setup is normally immune to a lot of these problems because it works around them. But then you have the thing that, okay, yes, I had 220 fixes to apply. There are empty entries and it takes a lot of stuff on that's really wrong. So this was a nice machine to. It didn't apply them all. So probably the two that didn't apply were because let's see, they need a Windows administrator. Yeah, these are two on the paths that couldn't apply because you had to run this as Windows administrator.
I remember now. It works with Community Edition, right?
What? Yes, yeah, that's it. But I don't have Community Edition here to show it.
No, just mentioning.
Yeah, if you have Community Edition, it will work. It won't be as nice as this one because it can compile in parallel without the command line compilers, but it works. It can actually let you install components in Delphi Community Edition. Yes. Okay, I think
how is our compilation going on?
We are going to have to stop this. You have
finish it?
No, it hasn't finished yet. It's still working.
Okay, my suggestion: let's stop recording and go back when it's finished.
Yeah, let's go. Hello again.
No,
we want to make this is live thing. I run the ROM build. That build had also the test, so it takes more than half an hour for Spring4D. So we run it again, the real one, and we have the results on here. It took 20 minutes, 46 seconds. So we are going to now install with Smart Setup. We are going to install the same version that we had here, which is 202. So it's the same thing. And we are going there. Is a little bit more work that is doing than the other one because it has to download from sheet and everything, but that's fast. So, okay, we'll leave it there and see how much it takes with Smart Setup. You have to realize what?
You maybe can show the CPU usage there.
Yeah, I have it here to open. You see that it's taking all the CPUs to, and not completely because we are just installing one product and one IDE. If you when installing 5 or 6 products, you will see everything blue here. It's a big blotch of blue, the CPU using 100%. Still taking time. What?
Yeah. No, I was just going to recap what we did because it was in the beginning of the presentation. So Adrian ran the Spring4Delphi installer and selected only Delphi 13. So we were installing Spring4D for Delphi 13 for all platforms, right? It took 20 minutes to build and install the components for Delphi 13. And now we are running Smart Setup for the same platforms, the same IDs.
Inside the book and release the same.
I think it's if we ran 2 Delphi versions, for example, we want to install for Delphi 12 and Delphi 13, it will even take more time. The time difference will be higher because we could.
The more stuff you do, the faster the faster Smart Setup is. Here it finished. It was did in almost 2 minutes. Didn't even go to 2 minutes. We can show it also for Delphi 12. This config is, I think it goes to 3 minutes. I mean, it took 2 minutes, so if we also allow Delphi 12, it should go twice to 4 minutes, but it doesn't because it does everything at the same time. And if you are installing all the packages, all the products, the more products you are installing, the faster it is. But I don't have, that's what we spoke in the before, that I don't have Delphi Linux on here configured, so in Delphi 12, so it just fails, but it doesn't stop the rest.
Yeah, that's one good thing. So there is a problem with Delphi Linux, but in the end you have all the rest installed.
Yeah.
And we can test here because it's only building for Delphi 12 now because
I think I was looking at that. We are not really changing anything. Let's do a full thing because it was smart enough to realize that Delphi 13 was okay. So why build it again? No? We are going to build with full. Now installing Delphi 12 and 13 at the same time. And it's failing for Linux 64 because I don't have it in this machine, but it doesn't matter. It will do all the other stuff anyway.
So you have TMS build, which will only build what's needed. And if you have some reason, something going wrong with like this, or some reason that you want to rebuild everything, just use the full flag.
Yeah, the full flag is when you have a trouble, you normally need it. But normally it's not really needed in this case because we especially wanted to build for Delphi 13, but the normal case actually is doing the smart thing. It's not rebuilding Delphi 13 because it was already built.
And so why it's doing this here? Let's just remember that
the blue CPU here. No? Now we have two products. It's already enough to fill the.
Is the temperature in your is the temperature in your room increasing there?
It's going up. Yeah. But that's it. You have all those both. Why not to use them?
Yeah.
One thing we were speaking with Wagner is that this is not, Smart Setup is not doing anything that the other build system is doing. We're doing exactly the same. We're going MS build for every component. The only difference is that we do them all together instead of one after the other. And that's, when you have enough cores, the difference can be a lot. So
yeah. But that part, let's give credit to those who deserve it. That part of parallelism was implemented by Adrian, and it's not as simple. You can talk about more about it. Why it compiles. Yeah. It's not as simple as just parallelizing it because Delphi has a lot of limitations to do parallel build. For example, it shares some files, so if you just go and run two builds in parallel, it will fail because Delphi will complain that a file is being used or resonate or whatever or like that.
And even when you fix all the files, it still works. It works, but it's very slow. We had to realize, for example, that the TM folder, the temp folder, has to be different for every product being compiled. If you put everything in the same temp folder, it doesn't. It slows a lot. So there are many tweaks that actually make it go faster and make it use all the CPUs. That is not just running a T-parallel 4 and build for everything. There's a lot of work on there. Well, you see here that instead of 4 minutes, it will be, if it took 2 minutes for Delphi 12, it should take 4 minutes for Delphi 13 and 12, but it took less than 3 minutes. So adding more stuff actually doesn't make it twice as slow. It just slows a little bit. And here in the summary, you can see that Delphi 13 was okay. Delphi 12 was all okay except Linux 64 that file. You can still use it, or I could go to Delphi 12, install Linux 64, rebuild, and it will only rebuild this, not the full thing. Okay?
You don't have to go through the full install again.
Yeah.
I think that's it, right? I like to stress that there are. I hope you have enjoyed this tool as much as we do with all the features, but we haven't reached it we haven't covered all of that. Maybe you can follow us at our channels and learn about Smart Setup, because there are more things to show, like for example, how to use the Smart Setup in your build server to build your applications. We do that on our server. So it's not only to install Delphi packages, but it's also useful for you to build your applications, because on your build server, for example, it will also download and build all the dependencies that your application needs. So if you have an application that needs FlexCell and XData and Spring4 Delphi, in your build server, if you use the correct configuration and command line, it will just download and build the dependencies in your application correctly, right? So that's a topic for another session.
Yeah. It's crazy, but when we were reviewing what to show with Wagner, so the first draft was like, okay, this is going to be like 3 hours long. we have to cut a lot of stuff, but yeah, it's just an installer, and there is a lot.
As a last note, could you please go back to your browser? I don't know where it is.
The browser, what
the web browser?
The web browser, yeah, that's it.
Yeah. And as a final note that I like to there is here written down, is that TMS Smart Setup is from TMS, and you might be thinking, all right, TMS sells commercial components for Delphi. They want to sell this. There is a license for this. I have to pay a fee to use Smart Setup. So that's not true. And you can find the repository there, Adrian, if you like.
I don't know.
And TMS Smart Setup is fully open source. So all the source code is available on GitHub.
Yeah.
You are even invited to contribute to it if you feel like.
Even you can see we show the versioning stuff that is not still completely ready, but it's kind of working. And you can see it here. It's all in the open. No? We have the versioning branch, the main branch. So if you want to test it, what we have done in versioning, you can actually do it today. Just download the latest one, compile it, and that's it. Remember to star us. No?
Use it.
We can say subscribe, so just give it a star. Okay. With that,
that's it.
That's it.
Adrian, anything else to add?
No, that's it. Remember that's it. That if you have an open source product and you want to support Smart Setup with it, just contact us. There is all the documentation on how to do it, but it's normally more like 10 minutes to do it. I don't allot myself, like Spring4D. Many useful libraries that we have in Delphi that
there is documentation there, right? You can just show the documentation so people can go there in the.
Yeah, documentation is in the same. Let's see.
Yeah, but then we have a chapter about explaining.
Yeah, we have the consuming and creating Smart Setup bundles. Here tells.
Yeah, that's it.
I mean, we're going to run out of time if you go through all of this, but basically you create a bundle for you, then you can. This consuming, this creating. There is a lot of stuff there that you can do to create your own package, your open source package, or from package from other people that maybe don't care about, but you do. You can create a bundle for it, and you can publish too. Is here, and then you can have we have a repository registry. Where when you can see everything that's already been ported. Most of this stuff we ported ourselves, so the actual repositories don't even know that they support Smart Setup, but we do. You can add more stuff here if you want, more packages from you, from other people that you think can benefit the Delphi community. And now, yes, I think we can wrap up, no?
Yep.
Okay.
Okay.
Goodbye.
So thank you
See
very
you.
much. I hope you have enjoyed. See you next time.